Hello, hello. We are back for another live web dev Q&A. All right, let me make sure I click the right button. There we go. We're back. Hold on. Let me raise this a little bit. How are people doing? What I really want to know is what people think about working remote. Just to kind of start off with, would you want to work remote? You know what, while we wait for people to hop in, I'm gonna turn on my air conditioning. 1 second. All right, there we go. Maybe in about 2 hours, that'll be cool. Always takes forever. All right, well, like usual, anyone that has any questions, blockers, let me know. I kind of want to dive into what I think of the remote topic. Hey, Trisha, how's it going? Happy Friday indeed. I used to get really excited when someone would say that when I was working a full-time position. Just the phrase of it, it's just like, sometimes you almost forget the weekend's coming, you know? Because Fridays, you try to cram everything in. And Trisha, I think my bot auto muted one of your messages last stream. Sorry about that. You didn't say anything inappropriate. But I still have to kind of like tweak the settings a little bit. Hey, Michael, Formation team is remote, and we're having a team retreat right now, and have you on. Oh, that's awesome. Hello. You mean like my stream onto the entire company? Hello, Formation. Wait, where are you guys? Seriously, I'm kind of jealous now. Where'd you guys go? You didn't invite me? Hey, Jeremy, I'm a fully remote guy now, and I love it personally. Saves money, I guess. It does save a lot. I remember when I started my first position, I got 1 day a week to go remote. I think, not even that. It was when I needed to. And I remember just getting really excited. I'm like, I gotta earn more days. And I remember I would, even the company couldn't agree to pay me like more than a 4% raise, so I negotiated maybe an extra day of remote. I was really excited about that. It's so convenient, especially like when you're in a big city and you have to commute. For me, I had to hop on multiple trains sometimes, and like a train then a bus. It's super convenient. It does save a lot of money. No sweat. All right, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, hello everyone from Formation. I hope you're having a good retreat. That's actually really exciting. Man, now you're making me wish I worked full time again, because I remember my retreats and stuff like that. I used to hate stuff like that in my old industry when I was an aquatics director. But like when I became a software engineer and I joined these startups, I had a lot of cool teams. I liked the retreats. Like they weren't incredibly cheesy like you would expect them to be. And I remember my second one kind of made a fool of myself, but we all got pretty drunk. We were just having a good time, not like overly, but I remember I did something that the CEO basically is a story for like all of his new recruits, everyone that joins the company. He definitely likes holding that over my head. But I'm not going to share that story. But the retreat was really fun. I thought I would hate those, and I really loved them. So I hope you guys are having a good time. I was thinking, I'm like, should I start the story? Where should I start? I'm like, nah. We're not going to do that on YouTube. But they have been a lot of fun. I hope you guys are having fun. And what was I going to say? Man, I am scattered today. So anyways, all right, remote. Here are my thoughts on working remote. When I first started, I loved the idea of being able to have that control, because there were some days where I didn't get a good night's sleep. I wanted to wake up a little bit later, and that was convenient. And I fought for it for my first 2 positions. And then my 3rd position, I basically could work remote most days of the week. I had to come in once in a while, right? At least 1 day a week, I think. Or no, I could work at least 3 days a week. And then eventually people stopped caring like whether you worked remote, whether you came in. And so I was basically doing it like 4 days a week. And I remember working on a new MVP for a feature. And I was really excited in the beginning. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna work remote most of the week and I'll have so much time to work on this. And then I'd walk by the bedroom, I'd look at my bed. If I wouldn't get a good night's sleep, that bed would look very comfy. I actually had my kitchen attached to my living room. My living room is where I had my desk and everything. And then I would go to the kitchen, grab a snack, and I'd make a bigger meal, because why not? I'm here, I'm working remote, I'm home, this is awesome, and I can make whatever I wanted. And then things became super convenient for me to get distracted. I'm not someone that typically does get distracted by my surroundings, but when you build so many habits at home, I hope people can at least relate to me. Like, it's very easy to get caught up into the mindset of where these places in your home, like what they trigger in you. And like, I had my Xbox next to me. I don't play a lot of video games, but I sure played a lot more once I started working more remote. And then I remember I'm like, yeah, 2-hour lunch, it's not a big deal. I'm getting my stuff done. And then I would stay late. I would work more just to make up for the time. Like, I put the hours in, but there were points where I'm like, crap, I really blew like 3 hours of the day. I got to put these 3 hours in. So I would do it late at night. And I remember burning myself out. I think one of the hardest things working remote from home or from a coffee shop is a little bit easier, somewhere where you don't have those habits built in, but it's hard to break those habits. That's like my one big argument working remote. And I think a lot of people do that. I think people's productivity go down, and I think it takes a long time, and you have to really be accountable and hold yourself accountable and be critical of yourself to make that work. So those are my thoughts on working remote. I don't think it's for everyone. I think everyone wants to do it, or most people want to do it. I just don't think it's for everyone. I'm kind of curious. Now that I said all of that, I'm kind of curious what your opinions are. Hey, I got a job starting this Monday. I am the only front-end developer in company. Hold up. Wait. Formation, if you have me on the screen, pull out people's laptops. Give me more viewers. I want to be on everyone's screen, not just one screen. I got a job starting this Monday. I am the only front-end developer in company with one back-end developer. Their front-end developer leaving on Monday. I'm super excited because it's my first. That's awesome. Hamza, congratulations. That is really cool. Do you have a framework that you're going to be picking up? What are you going to be working on? I'm assuming HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, but yeah, that is actually really exciting. My first job, I worked with one other front-end developer, and he was my direct boss. Really nice guy. I brought him on, Danny, one of my first podcast episodes. And then eventually he moved on, and I was the only front-end developer for a very short while. It's kind of awkward because I wish I would have talked to them sooner, but I actually put my 2 weeks in, and I had planned on it the day that he moved on because the company was bought out. It was like really, really bad timing, and I felt really bad because I got a new episode with Danny's boss, who is also my boss. That's going to be coming out in a couple weeks, but I remember telling him, and he had like no more front-end developers. Man, that was just bad timing and all of that. What the hell? Where's my water? Oh my god, I forget everything. I really do. You know what I would love to do? I think it'd be a lot of fun. I think, is there a way to search on LinkedIn for people that just got, or like just made status changes? I'd love to bring on people that just got their job and ask them some questions and what they think helped them get that job. I think it'd be cool to check out like a project that became a really cool talking point in the interview process. Yeah, I think I should do that. I definitely think I should do that. All right, what questions do you have for me? What are your opinions on remote? Actually, I'd be curious for people that have actually like really tried it and compared it and what they really think. Sega, how's it going? Welcome back. Give me 1 second. I have to grab my water. Well, I'm prepared. All right, we're back. Back to the specific topic. Remote work requires a lot of discipline and is not for everyone. However, it does allow you to focus in ways that you can't in an open office. I agree with you. I have this headset. It's a Bus 35, I think. Probably the best noise cancellation I've heard. But I haven't tried a whole lot of noise canceling headphones, but I would wear them all throughout the day because, oh my God, my last position, the developer or intern or whatever he was, he'd just keep like messing with his keys the entire day. And like he would do it, and even if someone would call him out, you know, he'd be like, oh, my bad. And then he'd do it again. It was such a habit, it drove me nuts after like months of hearing it. And I relished, I'm like, okay, tomorrow I'm working from home. Peace and quiet. So I can agree with that, Jeremy. Any tips? It's my first front-end job. Yeah, what are you gonna be working on? What frameworks? I don't know if you heard that question. I have a whole set of rules I follow for working from home. I don't work from my bed ever. Good idea. I keep a dedicated workspace, yeah. When I'm done with work, I'm done and force myself to not check email or chat at all. That is a really good idea. All great tips. Tips I didn't necessarily follow when I was working from home, which made it much more difficult for me. Those are good rules though. Like people should have rules for themselves and they have to follow them. It's amazing how good we are at following rules of other people, but we can't even follow the rules that we set for ourselves. I've worked on-site support and transitioned to full remote support in the same job. I liked it better, but focused team communication and training in this job was worse, and it was bad before. But focused team communication and training in this job was worse, and it was bad before. Oh. Yikes. It doesn't sound like a really good remote position. As far as being remote, how do you like it? I also have a commute ritual that gets me into the work. What's your commute ritual? Mine was listening to podcasts. Not specific ones. I would just queue them up all throughout the year. I used to live code on the bus, but in Chicago, man, those buses are packed, and you try to pull out a laptop in the middle of winter when they're packed. Like winter buses are so packed. Like it, I don't know. You got to be like a really tiny person and just like crunch your arms in and try to, man. Oh, those are bad memories. I don't like riding the bus in winter in Chicago. Summer, people are out. I could code on my way to work. That wasn't bad. That's one reason I like taking Ubers or Lyfts, is being able to sit in the back. Kind of felt like I had a chauffeur, and I wasn't a very talkative customer, but I would code throughout that entire trip, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, any frameworks, Hamza? I mean, basic tips. Have that conversation with the employee that left if you can, but hopefully there was an onboarding. don't panic. You'll pick it up. You know, take it one day at a time. Like, that's probably the best advice I can give you. Be humble. And, you know, it's okay to feel not like you're not confident, like you don't belong there. That's normal imposter syndrome. Just trust me, take it one day at a time. Keep coding. Look for different patterns in the code base. I don't know, with small teams like that, hopefully you have someone to kind of mentor you through the code base a bit. But because if you're the only front-end developer, that could be a little bit tricky. But yeah, take it one day at a time. You have fun with it. I've been working remote half-time for 10 years. I'm much more productive working remote. Interesting. People, if you are able to form really good habits working remote, you should create videos and post them on LinkedIn. I'm serious. You get a lot of people virtue signaling. Yeah, if you can work remote, why wouldn't you? You know, companies just want to micromanage you. Like, that's a lot of that's just BS, and people are trying to evoke emotions. But in reality, like, if you have tips, if you have rules that you follow that help you work remote and that can encourage people to be productive while working remote, that definitely helps the movement to have more software engineers work remote. Productivity is a huge issue. And if you have better productivity working remote, that is good. Share your tips. There are definitely negatives to remote work. Anyone saying otherwise is not thinking hard enough. I think some people tend to just like go on one side of the line and then get louder on that side because they're trying to fight for it and they won't talk about the cons. I agree with that, just Sega. For me though, all the cons will simply never outweigh the pros of remote, not even close. That's good. You found what you like. My ritual is get coffee, sit on porch and listen to nature, then start work. I love that, Jeremy. That's awesome. Do you work outside pretty often? Or do you just listen to nature and then go back in with your dedicated space? I'm like, these questions are like, why is Don asking this? I'm kind of just curious what people's rituals are because I do think you need them. Currently in New Camp's Coding Boot Camp. Emmanuel, welcome. At the tail end of the React portion, 3 months till finish the full stack course. Glad I found your channel. Great tips. Hey, I'm glad it helped. That's awesome. You're almost done. That's exciting. Alicia, how's it going? Welcome back. Anyone that's just coming in chat, feel free to answer the question. Would you want to work remote 100%? Would you, or do you feel like you wouldn't be productive? I start coding boot camp on Tuesday. You're nervous. No reason to be nervous, Carrie. You're going to do awesome. It's going to be fun. What are you nervous about? Comfortable with the code base as quickly as you can and don't expect to really know it for a month or so. Yeah. It takes so long to get comfortable with the code base. Even my second and third position, it took time. It always takes time. No framework, I wish they used React. Well, I mean, that's, if there's a need for it and it actually, there are a lot of pros to React, but there might be a need for it in a year or two. If you're at that company and you're the only developer, you're gonna have a lot of weight in what you say. And, you know, just learning React on the side or making sure that you keep your skills fresh with it, highly recommend that, no matter what, whether you use it at work or not. I do work from my porch about half the time. It's my other office. That sounds nice. That sounds really nice. I had a bench that I would love to do my work in, but the internet, I was in this like little cavity in Chicago. It's kind of deep and there were just multiple layered streets around me. And for some reason, it always cut my signal off. Anytime, I usually like Lyft over Uber. Anytime my Lyft driver would come around, they would lose their signal. And literally we would sit there, almost like 75% of Lyft drivers would pick me up and we would sit there for 5 minutes. I'm like, why are we sitting here? Well, I'm trying to get signal. 75% of the time, it drove me nuts. But there was like a nice, beautiful park in front. I would like to go out and code, but my internet, It was so bad. I wish I had better internet, because I would use my phone. Phone didn't have signal. I'd give my computer Wi-Fi, which doesn't matter if you don't have good signal. But I'm venting. I'm jealous. I wish I could have gone outside and just worked remote, but I had to take a trip to be able to do that and get signal. I have 5 kids in tight quarters. I had to move my computer setup to my laundry room for a bit. More separation. Still 100% prefer remote. Yeah, that's man, that's tight quarters. That's a lot of people want to get away. You can love your kids and want space too, you know? It's convenient. It's convenient, but I just remember getting caught in the trap. Like when you're 100% remote, you're in your home. Most of the time, it's easier to stay in your home and not go out. I found so many excuses not to go out. Like it was almost like I was a different person once I started working remote. I like remote outside of my home. I don't like remote in my home. What do you think of Odin project? Boston, I don't know. I've heard a lot about it. I've seen it. I was looking at graduates, if anything came of the Odin. Like Odin seems to be something that you don't just do Odin. You use it as a nice supplement. I actually had planned to invite Odin participants on to talk about it, and almost no one responded to me from Odin specifically. And I had a couple that were like the core team that are like, well, I gotta, really represent Odin project. I'm like, nah, damn it, there's too much bias here. So I cut that. I decided not to do the video, but I did notice, I'm wondering, like usually when I don't get a lot of responses, and I'm not saying this is true for Odin, I feel like people just barely used it. Odin, like people kind of dipped their toes a little bit, and I noticed tons of other supplementation, or then they went to coding boot camp or several coding boot camps, or they didn't like it. I hear a lot of good things about Odin, so I don't think people are like really unhappy with it. I do think there are a lot of people that will dip their toes in it and not finish it. That's one thing that I did hear from someone I reached out to. So I don't have a big window into it. I guess I never contacted the creator about it, but might be worth diving into and doing a video like that if enough people want that. I am more productive working remotely. I am not as stressed about getting work done by 5 p.m. so I can go fight traffic while rushing to the daycare before they close at 6. That is convenient, Alicia. I get that. I completely get that. What if your commute was short? Would you love remote if your commute was only 15 minutes and like traffic wasn't an issue? For me, it's traffic. I don't like sitting on a bus that stops and gets backed up in traffic all the way there and all the way back. I hate it. I hate traffic. If you took that out of the equation, I would love working at the office. So is it the traffic that's the decider? I feel like I'm onto something. I also have 5 kids. Mine are all late teens or adult now. Well, that's still kind of a handful of teens. My condolences. I make a point to leave my house every day after work. I go get ice cream or run a quick errand. I love my kids and still prefer working remote, but getting away is good for your mental health. Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. Ice cream? What's your favorite flavor of ice cream? I haven't had ice cream in a long time. Even when you are remote, though it's important to get periodic FaceTime, going into the office is important. That's another argument against it. A lot of people feel like they say, it doesn't build culture. You can build culture remotely. I think it's much harder to make strong connections with your fellow employees when you are remote. It is. Like, just taking a look at what the pandemic did, and everyone just being stuck in their homes, like mental health was a serious issue during the pandemic. We aren't meant to be trapped in our homes. We aren't meant to not interact with people in person. Like there's a lot of studies and data that I'm sure are going to continue coming out about the effects of being trapped in your home. It's not good for you. 100% is not good for you all the time. So you have to kind of take those extra steps to step away or connect with people. The company I'm going to work for, they only have one remote day Friday. That's pretty normal, Hamza. Especially with your first position. That's what I didn't even have like one dedicated day. It would just be like if I really needed it. The traffic. See, it is the traffic, right? It is the traffic. Traffic, not an issue. That's a unicorn. Okay. Get out of here, Trisha. You're like, everyone complains about the traffic. Like, you're the only one saying traffic's not an issue. That is not a unicorn commute. Are you saying like you have a unicorn commute, or people that have bad traffic have a unicorn commute? Because I'm either going to agree or completely disagree with you. It's the traffic and having to pick up the kids different places, then finally go home and get ready for the next day. My office is only 15 minutes away. Dallas traffic is just horrible. Imagine not having to pick up other people. Probably would be a lot better. Thanks for your answer. I was just thinking about Odin Project or Free Code Camp to get a better understanding of coding. Just trying to pick a good one. Yeah, I think they both supplement each other. I don't think that's an either or situation. You know, we did the review on Free Code Camp, and a complaint was they kind of held your hand quite a bit. You had to extend, build projects outside of it, especially to reinforce your knowledge. Odin is a little bit different. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm probably misremembering, but I think they have open source opportunities with their own internal projects. But it felt very project focused versus Free Code Camp kind of having very structured lessons. Like Odin still has the courses and stuff, but that's just kind of what I've heard with the differences between the two. I think they supplement each other well. Rocky Road? I've never had Rocky Road ice cream. Ever. What's it taste like? No, I was saying no traffic is, as a dream, like meeting a unicorn. Okay, that I can agree with. That I can 100% agree with. I like the way you guys think. I do. It's the weekend. Does anyone have any fun plans? Are you gonna build any cool projects? I feel like every time I ask if people are building cool projects, if you're working as a developer, I feel like you're just exhausted. I wish I met more. I know it's a lot, and when you have a family and everything, but I wish more professional developers built side projects. They don't realize how valuable their skills are. And you never know when a side project is going to take off and earn you enough income to quit your job. Most people think they will never build something like that, but I think it's a lot easier than what you think it is. And that survey I sent out on YouTube, what, like 60% of people said that they wanted to become a freelancer? That's crazy. I didn't expect that many people to be aiming for that. Rocky Road is delicious. You should try some. I probably should. It's chocolate with almonds and... Almonds? Are you sure it's good? Or is that kind of just like an ice cream that's really good when you're hungry or on a very hot day? Like, is it actually good? Or did you just like have good memories eating it because you were very hungry or it was a hot day? Because when I see almonds, that kind of makes me question your judgment. My favorite though is pistachio. I've never had that either. What? How are you guys just like picking obscure flavors that no one ever eats? Am I like the only one that hasn't tried these flavors? Or Going to a Python meetup to practice my non-existent networking skills. Trisha, that's awesome. It's going to be awkward, and it's also going to be fun. Have fun with it. It's not going to be awkward. It always is going to be better than what you think it is, almost always. Every single time I put myself in an uncomfortable situation like that, it always ends up being better. You know, the whole reason why you're probably going is because you know it's probably going to be all right. Better than what you probably think it's going to be. Working on a pet adoption single-page application for my React course definitely helped improve my web design skills. That's really cool. A pet adoption. Is that an application for an actual pet adoption place, or start backend development at New Camp? Hold on, we're gonna get to you, Carrie. What do you have against almonds? Jeremy, are you kidding me? What? Like, there's nothing wrong with eating almonds. Like, almonds are really good, especially if you like honey roasted almonds. Oh my God, those are amazing. They'll change your entire day. But ice cream already tastes delicious. Like, it's good already. The flavor of almonds is only gonna bring it down. Like, I'm not the only one that sees this, right? Like, it's just going to ruin the ice cream. Chocolate ice cream is delicious on its own. Why ruin it? Okay, Carrie, I can answer. I start back-end development at New Camp on Tuesday. If you think I can get a job afterwards, anyone can get a job afterwards, but watch my video. I highly recommend this. You're probably gonna have to supplement. So go into it really prepared. Go into it with a strong understanding of the fundamentals. I think you're gonna increase your chances that you're gonna have an easier time with the job search. So you definitely, people get jobs after New Camp, but if you wanna have an easier time, in my opinion, go in with strong fundamentals and supplement and build projects after you graduate New Camp. Yeah. I'm gonna try and implement food nutrition API for this fake website I created. I just get stuck with vanilla JS, knowing what to type after I declare my API. Wait, hold on. I just get so stuck with vanilla JS, knowing what to type after I declare my API key. So kind of just like get stuck with making the request. Is that where you're getting stuck with? If you get stuck with vanilla JS, it might be time to like really get a fundamental or get a solid understanding. Okay. I'm just reading future comments. I see your comment, Jeremy. We're gonna have to, you're right, we're gonna have to agree to disagree. I'm just surprised more people aren't disagreeing with you, and I'm kind of upset with that. Yeah. You know, I usually recommend Eloquent JavaScript. It's a really good start. I think you don't know JS. So this is like really keeping it simple, and this isn't going to apply to everyone, but when you are struggling with fundamentals with JavaScript in general, Eloquent JavaScript is a good resource. I think you're going to have to supplement. I think you're going to have to build stuff. You can't just read Eloquent JavaScript and do the challenges and understand JavaScript. It doesn't work like that. But you can use that basic knowledge, chapters 1 through 6, to be able to have a good, thorough understanding, but make sure you're building many little things to reinforce what you're learning through those first 6 chapters. And then you can get into other stuff. I think like chapter 7 is like you build some map with a basic AI. I don't know, they keep changing that. You Don't Know JS is a really good resource to kind of bump junior developers up to mid-level developers. That was a resource recommended to me at my second position, and it changed a lot for me. So a lot of people say like jump into You Don't Know JS for good JavaScript fundamentals. I don't think that's a good strategy initially. And I would argue You Don't Know JS, I think if you're reading You Don't Know JS when you're trying to get a position, you're focused on the wrong things. I think that knowledge needs to be applied, and you need to start building stuff at that point. You'll learn JS that way. A lot of things will be reinforced, but yeah, maybe that's what it is. Alicia, is just get more comfortable with the fundamentals. Great, maybe I will try both of them. Yes, I did see your video on Free Code Camp. I did enjoy the episode. Oh, cool. And your guests were great. Keep up the great videos. Thanks, Boston. I liked my guests on that episode. They seemed like they wanted to help a lot of people. I've had some pretty good guests. like most guests, obviously I'm not going to call out like, okay, I'm just going to say there are parts that I've had to clip out from like very few episodes, but majority of my guests have been great to talk to and get to know. Like they really have been. Kind of lucked out with that because I brought on like, 100 guests so far now? Oh, it's a personal project. I'll be using an animal shelter API for the data. I gotcha. Sounds like a great way to interact with an API. What specifically are you going to build that makes it unique and usable? You can't really taste the flavor of the almonds? Okay. Can't really taste the flavor of the almonds. They are usually chopped up really fine. It's delicious. I challenge you to try it this weekend. Okay, so, all right, there are foods. Okay, so for example, when I eat a sandwich, I might just put a couple of kind of flavorless chips on it for the crunch, right? I don't care about the flavor. In fact, I don't want too much flavor. And so I love the feel of eating chips on a sandwich. I think that's similar to what you're saying, but what I'm saying is you're obviously wrong because almonds have a strong flavor. Trying to work on my LinkedIn too. Don't know what to do with the about me and don't want my current employer to find out. Oh yeah, that's a tricky one. When you don't want your current employer to, oof. That's a longer conversation. I'm not going to give you any advice with that. But yeah, that's a very tricky one. There are ways. You would be surprised. You can kind of slip in I don't know, employers are different. You know your employer well, but you can kind of slip in this idea that what your future goals are. I have found that usually when I'm scared to talk to my current boss about moving on, all of them would have been open to it. They would have been fine. Like none of them, I don't know, ever were like complaining because they spent all this time hiring me and training me. None of them did that. A big question is, okay, well, I'm gonna have to replace this person. How much do I invest in them? If they can stick around for like a year. Like I had bosses where I talked to them. I'm like, honestly, kind of moving on. And I want to stick around for a little bit. The big fear is usually your motivation can die. Sometimes productivity can go down and you have to if you ever do that and you're like, okay, I want to do this on the side. Eventually I want to transition into it. I really think it's on you to show your boss, I can still do my job really damn well. And sometimes I've even put a little extra energy in to show that and alleviate that concern. But I feel like the best thing that you can do for yourself is have that conversation. But I'm not recommending you have it because I don't know your relationship with the boss. But I would be curious because this is super common. You want to go to a new position, you don't want to let your boss know that you want to go to a new position because what if they replace you? That's often a question that comes up. What are your thoughts on that? Just anyone in chat. What's easier, back end or front end? Neither. They're both different. Definitely get the book after I declare my API key. Get the free one. It's free online, just to specify that. I start my function, but when I get stuck, I always have to go back to previous code to know what all I need. Start my function, but then I get... Yeah. The more you apply that knowledge, Alicia, to projects, you're probably relying on tutorials. The more you apply that to actual projects and keep referencing, it's okay to look things up, especially in the beginning. It'll get more comfortable. That knowledge will come. Remember, stuff is going wrong. Yep. Yep. I still reference a lot of code. I do. I have to look stuff up. Yes, Yes, it's the crunch. I think this is your next podcast episode, interviewing people on whether they can taste the flavor of almonds and Rocky Road. I'm tempted to create a YouTube poll for it, but I feel like I've already created a lot of YouTube polls for people. And I'm not sure this is worthwhile because I think most people are going to say, don't put almonds in your ice cream. The more times you do it, the more it starts to stick in your head. Absolutely, absolutely. And it can feel like it's never going to stick. You know, I've gone through that, and like then I learned something new finally because I've used it so many times in a project. Then I go to the next concept. I'm like, man, you know, like, am I really making any progress? Isn't this another easy function that I should know? And then I go through the whole process again. Like, I remember that over and over and over. You just have to use your code. I think the best lesson I learned was with my second position. I remember talking to my boss, and I'm like, I want to read this CSS book, cover to cover. I feel like I could be so much stronger with CSS. And I'm like, this is how you study fundamentals. Like you just like dive into these fundamentals, and you know, that's what a lot of these books are for. That's what a lot of these courses are for. Like, it was a CSS book that really wanted you to be comfortable with the fundamentals. And I remember him telling me, he's like, don't ever do that. Don't ever do it. There's no way you're going to remember it. The only way you're going to get better with CSS is using it and applying it. Like, being good at CSS isn't about memorization. And I knew that. Like, I even asked him this question knowing that. But like, I just needed that reminder. Learning CSS, learning JavaScript isn't about memorization. It's about just using all of these things that you're learning. If you don't use it, you're gonna lose it. It doesn't matter how many years as a developer you have under your belt. If you don't use it, you're gonna lose it. You're gonna have to reference it. You're gonna have to relearn it. And it'll usually come back to memory pretty quickly the more often you use it throughout your entire career. But yeah, trust me, that is completely normal. That's a great question, and also where I falter. JavaScript for me has been pretty simple to understand, but when it comes to project ideas and features, I have trouble. You mean, hold on. I mean, that's just gonna take practice. Try many little projects. There's what's it, like 30 days of JavaScript? Look that up. Try building mini projects. You need to apply that knowledge. Eventually, you're gonna have to build your own stuff, in my opinion, to really think about it critically enough to reinforce it. Well, but you know, look at other project challenges. There are so many ideas to try to create, like, and start small too. Do you think $30 an hour for starting is good in New York City? No. I mean, like, you know, obviously not in Manhattan. Like, how far are you from? Like, man, that is so low. It's about what you can afford, Hamza. Is it good? No. If we're speaking especially software, I'm considering like software engineering positions. That is extremely low. So is it like a temporary thing where you're gonna get a full-time role and you're gonna get paid a lot more? Can you afford that? It depends on your financial situation, but that is well below the average for software engineers in New York. So I'm not, you know, if it's something you have to do and something you have to accept, it is what it is. I would just don't sit on that for too long. In my opinion, that's going to be very hard to afford a lot of things in New York, like your rent. Don, here's something perfect for chips that are dipped in chocolate. Why would you dip chips in chocolate? What kind of chips? Why do all of you have such bad taste in food? What kind of community have I curated? Chips and chocolate. Bring this down. Ooh. Is this really a thing? Just eat them separately. Why would you combine these? When I was doing front-end development, I had a browser window open to MDN pretty much permanently. Yeah. That's what that extra monitor is for. It's for MDN. Edibit for coding practices makes me feel like an idiot. Is this Edibit? Edibit. I don't know what that is. You laugh because you know I'm right. It's okay. This is turning into a foodie stream. It sounds like it is. You know, it would be fun to do like cooking streams. I don't think anyone would watch me cook. But there are streamers that do it. I would love to do, because I'm going to do workout streams later in the year with this bag and the weights. If I can get the lighting down, I keep experimenting and can't get the lighting down in this room. And I keep forgetting to open my closet door so I don't have this giant echo. But when my channel grows, I think it'd be really fun to do like cooking streams and workout streams and stuff like that. I found this free book. Thanks. JS is such a monster. I have MDN, W3 schools, and Stack Over bookmarked. I want to be able to code JS like I do with CSS and Bootstrap. Yeah, no problem. You'll get there, Alicia, for sure. I don't know what Edibit is, but coding challenge sites are usually meant to make you feel like an idiot. That's why I like... I like coding challenge websites that make a game out of it. And there are ones that exist, and I think it's fun. Oh, HackerRank doesn't even show you the challenges? HackerRank is not something that gamifies its content, from what I know. But start small. Definitely start small. I mean, literally, if I went through some... I don't know, basic problems, but like if I went through problems that required data structure knowledge, I would struggle right now. It's something you have to practice. I haven't worked with data structures in a long time. I mean, like technically I've worked with data structures, but like anything more complicated than maybe a linked list and on, I would have to refresh my memory. I can't just dive into it. I have a decent understanding of JavaScript fundamentals, but still, like, it's something you just have to practice. I love cooking. It's one of my relaxation hobbies. Really? What kind of cooking? What do you cook that makes you feel so relaxed? Or is it just like anything? It's 3 months contract position to full-time. Oh, okay, so it's $30 an hour, and then that upgrades full-time? Is that what you're saying? As long as you cook chicken parmesan. Welcome, Spaceman. Chicken parmesan. I love eating it. I've actually never cooked it. Chicken, you have to be so careful with chicken. I would love to cook that. I think that'd be fun. Just want to see the reaction on your face. Oh, with the chips and... Stop recommending me bad food ideas. Take care, Carrie. Thanks for joining us. I need experience, nobody hiring with experience. So yeah, is it like a $30 an hour contract role into a full-time role that pays more, or what is it? Oh, chicken parmesan is easy. Just don't eat it raw. Well, you don't have to worry about that. There's no way I would ever eat raw chicken. I don't know if anyone's gotten food poisoning. It sucks. And I know there are different types of food poisonings, but like, I usually, when I get sick, I don't feel pain. I'm usually pretty good with pain. But food poisoning, man, it's just like someone stabbing me in the stomach. It does not feel good. I would love to make 30 an hour, make 20 bucks an hour as a production planner. So, as a production planner? Yeah, but, you know, he's in New York. That's way different, right? Production planner. What's a production planner do? I cook whatever I like, smoke meats, Italian, stir fries. Oh, that all sounds really good right now. I don't know if they upgrade. They should. It's about what you can afford, Hamza. Sometimes if you could just do a position and grow in it, and you can afford that pay, like it depends on how much you're hurting with it. I know people that could get by at $30 an hour in New York based on their situation. I would never recommend it. It depends. I got by in Chicago, well, in Illinois specifically. You might have to move and get away from the big city. Because in Illinois, I remember making $34,000, and the way I actually handled my finances really well, but I can eat rice and meat. And I was able to pay my college loans and save $50 every 2 weeks. So you might have to cut back on your expenses and everything. It's just about your financial situation, you know. So if you could do that a year and get by, I would continue applying for positions. Like, that's an extremely low salary. But it all depends. There's so many variables with that. I make a pretty decent brisket and really good fettuccine Alfredo. Man, now I'm just getting hungry. I enjoy eating. I cook out of necessity. That's fair. That's kind of me at the moment. I've gotten lazy with cooking. I feel like I have so much to do throughout the day, I haven't had time to cook. That's why I like slow cookers. They're perfect for just tossing in meat and vegetables or whatever you want to cook, and potatoes. It's so easy. All right, Boston, I'm about to ban you. Dip chicken in chocolate? Get the hell out of here. There's no way anyone has dipped chicken in chocolate. There's no way anyone has even tried that or would do that to themselves. That's just like, you have to hate yourself to be able to do that. Ugh, just the thought of it. I got food poisoning from shrimp one time. I thought I was dying. It feels like that. You get so dehydrated. That sucks. I hate food poisoning. I really do. Remember, once you get that experience that you don't owe the company anything, and recruiters might start emailing you within a few months. Yep. Recruiters will start reaching out once you get that experience under your belt. That's another good way to look at it, is giving it a few months. That's a good point. I didn't even think about the recruiters, but you're right about that. I work at a steel company planning production for the machines. Oh, I do inventory control and a lot of problem solving. Do you enjoy it? Or are you leaving just for the kind of like a pay increase? Planning production for machines. I know if I didn't get my developer job, I would have worked at the steel mills in Indiana, because I knew people that could get me in there. And that, like, if you couldn't find a job, that's what you did, because it paid well. I mean, not like a software engineer, but it paid well for the area. I thought that was high. Slow cookers are the original sous vide. I don't know what that stands for, but I think I pronounced it correctly. Didn't I, Jeremy? I have a friend who dips meatballs. Oh my God. Now I don't think I'm gonna do a cooking stream because I feel like you're purposely just gonna be like, why are you doing it the normal way? Why don't you have chocolate next to it? You should be dipping this in chocolate. You should be dipping this in some nasty other substance that no one would ever eat but you're just gonna recommend it because you know it annoys me. All of you have terrible food taste. I've heard like no one argue against any of these recommendations, by the way. Like just dip everything in chocolate. Chicken and mole sauce count as dipping. Oh my God, Jeremy. I don't even think you're trolling there. I think you're serious. I think dipping chocolate is something they would serve at the Texas State Fair. One year they sold a fried Snicker pie in Texas. Of course they did. Wrapped in bacon. Gross, but people bought it. Oh my God, that feels like something that sounds really gross. It's probably pretty decent. I'm just there to get the experience, and after I might leave after a few months and try to get a job that's pay more because I'm making 40 by oh, damn. I don't know if can you afford 30 an hour? That's the big question, because that's a drop in pay. You can continue looking for a job that pays more. You'll eventually find it. It's just when. Sous vide equals so vide. I still don't know what that means. It's okay. And that's just it. I went more than okay. The company I work for is great. That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool, Trisha. Not a lot of people can even say that the company is great, treats them well. That makes sense. Maybe you're looking for more of a challenge, fulfillment, something that's a bit more exciting, or something better. You'll get it. You'll definitely become a software engineer eventually, so keep aiming for it. Yeah, you think this is funny, Boston. Strawberries in chocolate is amazing. I 100% agree with that, Trisha. You know, anyone else could have recommended that. They recommended every other stupid idea of dipping the wrong things in chocolate. And Trisha, here you come to save the day and recommend something that sounds sane, right? So not all of my, I guess not all of you have bad taste. My plan is to get the experience and drive over the weekend to make more money because I cannot afford it. It's gonna be a lot, Hamza. It's definitely gonna be a lot. Yeah. It's doable. It's definitely doable. You're getting the experience, and that's good. It's just, you have to know yourself. Sometimes you do have to test yourself a little bit. It feels like you're kind of jumping in slightly deep water here, but if you know yourself, if you know you can put up, the good thing, Hamza, right? For Uber and driving around, you can always just go back to that and fill your hours. Because I remember I would take a Lyft because I hosted my mentorship meetup at Full Stack Academy. There's no way after work I wanted to wait on a bus, and especially when I had late meetups or I had meetups over the weekend, I'm like, I'm not taking a bus all the way to Full Stack Academy in Chicago. So I would take a Lyft there and back. It was worth paying for it, at least with my third job. It started eating my money with my first two. But, it takes a while to build up your salary. So you can't always expect a high salary as a software engineer in the beginning, and you shouldn't. You should aim for it. You should fight for it. But anyways, I talked to Lyft drivers a lot. A lot of them would do Lyft on the side while they were trying to build something else up. It's a very, very common thing. I love it. And they all kind of told me it's like, Lyft is always a backup. Always a backup. Especially if you're in a big city, New York City, that's pretty big. So if it's always a backup, that's not a bad idea, because if you're kind of testing your boundaries a bit, and if it does become too much, you can always, people are going to understand you quitting that job because it's too much. People are going to completely understand that. So that's maybe not as risky as I thought it was. I deep fried ice cream, which is good, and I deep fried Twinkie, and that was pretty good also. I've heard of both being good. I haven't tried them though. It's good. It's a heart attack waiting to happen. Well, you know, it's like, have you tried them or are you eating them every single week? So it's like not necessarily a heart attack if you just try them. But yeah, if you're eating them like every weekend, I feel like that could become addicting. Try not to burn out. Hamza, don't forget to take a day off here and there. Absolutely. Yeah, I would plan, if you can't do it with taking a day off, that's going to be really tough. No matter what, I try to give myself Sundays off. Yeah, if you can't take a break, I would highly, that's going to, but people can do a lot in a short period of time. What do you think a coding bootcamp is? Some coding bootcamps don't even give you the weekend off. They'll lighten up on the weekend, but they don't give it off. So it's amazing what human beings can do when they really want something, but there's a limit for everyone, and not everyone knows that limit. I would expect to get burned out, but there's going to be a lot of growth from it. It's going to take a lot of discipline to do that. The other option is to not take that job, continue driving for Uber, and continue coding, building out projects. I know it feels like there aren't a lot of opportunities, but there are opportunities out there, and it might just take you a little bit longer. It might even be like the way you're advertising yourself could change everything. Maybe your resume is not optimized. Maybe your cover letters aren't optimized. Maybe, I don't know what your personal projects look like. I'm actually going to release a video. I think a lot of people are going to like it. In the next 2 weeks, I brought on my boss's boss and my old boss's boss, and we talked about like resume and the projects he looks for and stuff like that. I thought he gave really good advice. I'm hoping that helps a lot of people. He even disagreed with me a couple times. I actually brought him on and we talked about like bending the truth with your resume and lies and stuff like that. And he said a couple things that I wouldn't have agreed with, but he's someone I highly respect. And I think he gave a lot of great advice. So I brought on someone. I had no idea what his views were initially, but I think you guys are going to like it. Only tried it one time, but then, yeah, that's not a heart attack trying it one time. But I am not a doctor. I only have 3 months of savings, so I'm just risking because I can make more money driving Uber and Lyft than working as a software engineer. But since nobody hired me without experience, they 100% will. Like I said, a lot of times, most people, like I have never met someone in my one-on-ones that had a perfect resume or handled the job process without making tons of mistakes. Like a lot of people, there's so many other things that they can't be doing. And everyone that says, I'm trying everything, no, you're not. You think you are, you're probably trying very hard. But being optimized for the job search is something that's like most people aren't good with. Like that's why recruiters exist. That's why career success exists with the coding bootcamps. That's why there are professionals that help you with that kind of thing. But chances are there are things that you can improve to get noticed a little bit more. You never worked in a company, so this is going to be your first time. I gotcha. That can be, so no office experience. That's not a red flag. That's just something that, I mean, the temporary position into full-time could give you that experience. Just signed up for my first hackathon. I'm excited to nerd. That's awesome, Emmanuel. Do you get to decide what you're going to build right away, or do you have to wait for like them to deliver a theme, or do you know what you're going to be building, or at least the stack that you're going to be using? Yeah, that's actually fun. I've never participated in a hackathon ever. That's one thing that I'd highly encourage you to do if you haven't already and you're trying to get your first position. I think it could be a lot of fun to participate in one if I did. I don't know. I don't think I will anytime soon, though. Just have a lot going on. What are hackathons like? I honestly can only recommend share what other people have shared with me. It's scary. You get nervous. You dive into it. You build something in a short amount of time. You get a feel for working with other developers that have potentially different skill sets than you, that have their own egos, personalities, which can be good and bad, but just like working with any other developer. But you basically, in this condensed time format, build something pretty cool. And oftentimes they're focused on solving a problem. A lot of hackathons even focus on like social issues in the city that you are participating in. And they can build solutions that people are actually going to use, which is really cool. But I think like the main thing people have shared with me about hackathons is the main pro. You build something that you never thought you could in that amount of time. That's kind of what a coding bootcamp does. It shows you what you can do in a very short, condensed time. Most people are surprised. And, you know, the very first time they participate in something like that, they're often burned out. But yeah, hackathon is just a very condensed version of that. And you build a project. Think about like all of the projects that you kind of let go and you delayed and stuff like that. You don't get to do that with the hackathon. Like, you dive into it fully. You build something cool and you have a portfolio project to showcase from it. Excuse me. I don't know. Has anyone else jumped into a hackathon before? Have you ever participated in one? Oh, and if you haven't already, like the video. It helps boost a video in the algorithm and get more views, so we can have more chats like this, more live streams like this in the future. Hey, Christian. Familiar with WGU and their software development program? Nope. It's an online degree, regionally accredited, same as most state schools. It offers accelerated programs and can be completed fast. Nope. I am not. As short as a year or two as an alternative to boot camps, no. Yeah, I haven't really looked into WGU or anything like that. Let me look it up real quick. The name is Super Western Walden University online. What is it? Western Governors University? Never heard of it. I mean, the accreditation can help with financing a bit. So that's one thing. I think, you know, I think the sooner you're able to get into the industry, the better. Most of the growth is going to happen. A lot of these programs that continue to extend the education past 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year to up to 2 years. It feels like there are problems with coding boot camps, but it feels like a lot of these additional education opportunities are holding you back from growing as quickly as you can. Like your growth comes from industry experience. And so you don't need a coding boot camp, you don't need a degree, you don't need any of that to become a software engineer. So that's why I'm hesitant. I'd be more critical of programs like that. But that's also why you should be critical of coding boot camps in general. But I think the being accredited helps with financing. That's one bonus that comes from it. But I don't really know about the reputation of it. It's a hiring hackathon, and they have 3 challenges: front end, back end, or full stack. Once it starts, they'll send out user requirements and possibly a Figma. That's exciting. That's a really cool hackathon. That sounds like a really cool hackathon. I love the sound of that. Are signups closed for that? You know what I would love to do is start advertising online hackathons in our community. That'd be really cool. That's fair advice. Thank you. Yeah, sure, Christian. Yeah, look up reviews. I don't know the reputation of it. I just don't. I'm glad it's helpful. You have to build and support network at the hackathons to keep you motivated. Oh, and you have built-in support network at the hackathons. You should be stoked. It sounds like a lot of fun, to be honest. How long do hackathons usually last? It could be different. Wasn't there a game one that was just launched, like a web game one, I think for August, that I missed? I was considering signing up for it, but it was like a month long. Very often, like a lot of the in-person ones would be like 3 days or up to a week or something like that. Oh, is it a trilogy program, Boston? That's not good. Trilogy. Yeah, I am not a fan of trilogy education. Heard a lot of complaints about it. Overall view of it, the curriculum does not seem strong to me. I would be careful of trilogy education. It doesn't mean it can't teach you something. I do feel like you're gonna have to supplement. That's the feel I definitely got from it when I did the Texas trilogy one. I think it was Austin, that university brought in trilogy. Yeah, I would look that up. That would lower the price significantly for me of what I would consider for this program, paying for this program. Oh, the hackathon's full. It's on a site called Mintbean. Oh, Mintbean, yeah. I've talked to the people that run that. They're nice people. They're nice people. They have a very giant Discord. I know that. Seems like a wholesome community. I want to try one, but I have to get better at JS. I know I'd clam up and get kicked out or something. You don't know that. Like, look at, that's that's usually a frequently asked question. Look at that. If they're beginner friendly, they're not going to kick you out, Alicia. I think that's a common fear. Am I good enough to be on this team of other developers that are probably smarter and better than me, right? That's a fear I had too. I think that very rarely happens, and that sounds like a pretty bad team, but like, contact the organizers. You'd be surprised at how many hackathons are beginner friendly. Oh, you don't think it's full. Got it. I don't know, I was asking, was it a trilogy program? Because a lot of colleges are tied into trilogy. Yep. It's something I would watch out for personally. Like I said, it doesn't mean you shouldn't necessarily, like, you should just absolutely not consider it. But trilogy, I never had a good feeling about trilogy. The more I hear about it, the less I'm inclined to recommend it to anyone. You're good, Carrie. Welcome back. Cool. We have 12 minutes left. I love chatting with everyone. And to those that didn't share your terrible food tastes, I appreciate you. I wish you would stick up for me a little bit more often, because I feel like my food tastes are superior to a few people in chat. But I still love having our food conversations as well. But, we have like 10, 12 minutes. Feel free to ask any remaining questions before 8. Kind of want to look up Mintbean's hackathon. Bean hackathon. Yeah, they host a lot of them, don't they? Starts. Hack the chatbot. August start, is that? I think Mintbean IO. Yeah, 2:30. Ends, same day? Oh, heck, that's probably not it. Maybe it is, I don't know. Yes, the fear is real. There are so many hackathons in Dallas. I will try to find beginner-friendly ones. You should. that is a great way to kind of build up your skills. And, you know, usually people will build a few projects first, then jump into a hackathon, but there are some that are very beginner friendly, where you just build simple projects. We've done content. I know I've personally hosted contexts where people